I just got excited about doing something different, to be honest, and like I like the idea of I had nothing to lose, you know. So I like the idea of like exploring and going out there, and it's really very easy and very comfortable, you know. Like maybe it seems like challenging or I don't know, scary. It does, like when you look back and look at the whole thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you break it down on a day-to-day basis, it's just like pretty regular and you know it's
Yeah,
still
that's
kind of
that's
fun and
that's
novelty,
crazy.
but it's not scary, you know.
Because for people like me who still go to college, your
Mm-hmm.
story is really big from an outsider perspective. But like
Mm.
you said, if you break it down, maybe it's just some
Mm.
regular daily choices you make to survive and to do what
It
you
really
like.
is, yeah. Um, I don't know. I'd say positive and negative. Positive, like yeah, adventure, novelty, excitement, uh, creativity, opportunities to learn, to grow, to develop, to reinvent yourself constantly.
Mm.
This is like a surprising benefit of like nobody knowing who you are. Like
Yeah,
this is
yeah,
the thing,
yeah,
you know.
indeed. No
When you break
expectations.
down, this is like what they show you in meditation. Who's Barry? Who's Benji? It's just stories that we tell ourselves or that people tell about us, you know. And like everywhere we go, people are creating their own narrative of who you are in your
Yeah,
brain, in their brain, and their memory log. But it's nice. It's quite empowering that everywhere I went, I could like begin to implement things I learned from other people that I wanted to be more like, you know.
mm-mm.
Like and often like bring out more characteristics that are already in myself that I really like about myself and things that I realized that weren't very healthy, you know, patterns to kind of, you know, learn to transfigure those, transform those. So always like reinventing myself, which we always have the possibility to do. But if we're in the same friendship group for our whole life, it's kind of harder to break out of that mold because everyone always expects you to be that same person, you know,
Yeah, yeah, indeed.
which is not true actually. You
And it's interesting that you
negatives.
It's interesting that you say it because I recently made such a development with my earlier friends. So it's nice to know that it's quite normal to
Mm.
break friends for your own benefit,
Yeah,
of
it is
course.
definitely, man. Yeah, that's maybe a negative that I was going to come to as well. Is like, you know, it's it's kind of not really negative. It's not inherently negative, but it can be, you know, like having leaving friends behind, leaving people behind, which you never really do in truth. You know,
Mm.
it's not like you've still got that connection and that memory, but I guess not like physically and
Yeah,
mentally
yeah,
nurturing that connection with certain people like anymore. You know, even though you can still appreciate them fully, and but obviously you haven't physically got time to speak to every single person that you've ever met
yeah,
over the
yeah.
last like
True.
8 years traveling, you know, all the time. And so, yeah, it's natural that people kind of, you know, you kind of drift apart and you gravitate. You do, you know, I personally now are like more consciously gravitating towards people who do excite me and like where I feel like I'm really like, whoa, coming alive and feeling like inspired because you can kind of choose that, you know, and it kind of happens eventually anyway, you know, of like drifting away from people who are like a bit
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
a
yeah.
bit toxic or not right for us in that moment.
And I
Yeah.
can imagine. That's like the price you have to pay if you're a traveler, I guess. But also the win
Yeah.
or the value of traveling to meet such
Mm.
friends people.
Yeah. To be honest, for me, it feels okay because I'm kind of used to it, and because I feel like I've found such a deep peace within myself and a knowledge that you can't really, an understanding that we're not separate anyway.
Mm.
You can't ever really be separate, and so this illusion of separation is just one thing, you know, that's potentially causing suffering. You know, like I've always had a bit of trouble with the statement like "I miss you." I think they use it in a different way in Belgium, but like uh, in English, when it's said, it kind of sounds like a lack statement. You know,
Yeah.
I can appreciate like I love you and appreciate you, and I really on like I'm grateful for all the times we had. But if it's, for me, if it's coming from that mentality of like, I wish you were here, and I'm sad that you're not here because I'm lacking something, then we kind of, I feel kind of like torn with that statement, because I feel like I'm creating, imagining something into the present which is not there, so therefore creating some lack instead of exist.
Yeah.
I feel like for other people that I meet, we can, I feel kind of, I understand it's also a mind game, but like, I've noticed that some other people that I meet kind of are more influenced, affected, that I come into their lives for a short time and then like no longer there.
And that they miss you in the sense of not being there.
Yeah, and sometimes maybe it's at the risk of, maybe they feel like, oh, it's, he's always just doing that, he's always just on the go, and he doesn't care, he's just go, he's just, so, but it's kind of like more and more I try to, really appreciate each moment with wherever I am, and really try and make it clear as well when I have those intimate relationships that I know I'm honesty, transparency, like to say that, I might not always be together, that doesn't mean that, like I don't love you, and that I'm not grateful for everything, and that we have everything within us. We don't have to like be searching and grasping out to other people for that sense of completion in ourselves. Like it's us. Not often, actually. Like more, because society is kind of like a myth in a way. It's a story. It's another narrative. That everybody in their own head has their own idea about. Mainly, some people might think it's about the law, or some people might think it's more about culture or about morality. So it's more like people, like. More like maybe my dad, people who are really close to me, maybe who have like high moral standards, or like their own moral standards, like rigid standards, like this is right, this is wrong, this is acceptable, this is not acceptable, should not, cool, like normal, weird, and so I think occasionally clash, like with when I was living with my dad, for example, it was like, I think he feels more responsible, like he needs to tell me, when I'm, he needs to set me straight in his book, but nobody's straight, actually.
Yeah.
Everyone's, in my opinion, there is no straight or shouldn't, and like, total free expression, like with respect and harmony and wisdom. But there is no like should or shouldn't and external authority that should tell us.
Indeed.
To be loose and natural, because for me that's the aim, to be loose and natural.
So it's more like you feel the social control of people around you who say, who predict societies. Okay.
Yeah, maybe, and in England for sure. If I'm walking barefoot around England, or anywhere, you often get people like looking like, oh my God, I can't believe he's walking barefoot, it's blowing my mind. And then, they'll sit in an office in a chair like a vegetable for like 40 hours a week, do no exercise, eat pizza, watch TV, and that's totally normal. So
yeah. I like this contrast you just showed.
Yeah, I think it's kind of something that it's a little thing that I can do, especially where I feel like confident and secure, is to like challenge people in some way, because not even for myself necessarily, but like to let people know that there are different ways of looking at the world. And, like,
the revolution is in your mind, actually. Just say to yourself it's okay, and nobody gives a fuck, and you can do it.
Absolutely, man. It's like, if there's insecurity there in myself or in whoever's, being called out, then you feel like, oh, you get triggered, you react, and if there is a reaction in me, I know that's showing me something, an insecurity of where I feel I'm not worthy. For example, like if they say, you're weird, I'll be like, I always say, well, everyone's weird, some people just try harder to be normal.
Wow. The new candy right here.
And why not express yourself and be relaxed, be comfortable in your body, in your skin, in your natural way of expressing yourself. To me, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, indeed. But I think a lot of people think they need to prove themselves to others or something. It's a thing I really see at school as well, that there are certain rules which we have to follow, or otherwise you're not part of the group, or you're not doing well, and sometimes it's just too much to just swallow it, and
But you also realize it's those stories again that we're telling ourselves, because
exactly.
I heard this quote is it's not what I think. It's not like who I think I am, it's who I think you think I am, or whatever, what I think they think about me, or about my choices, or about what's right. We're trying to, in our heads, imagine what somebody else is imagining about everyone and about us. So it's just it's kind of illusion at the end of the day. And
indeed.
I found there's no solidity in that, It's there's no strength in that, because it's totally based on ideas and wavering thoughts, whereas I feel to direct the attention more inwardly at first, to get to know ourselves, to get to feel where we feel comfortable and, honorable, and, trusting in ourselves with that integrity and love, harmony. And we just keep pointing the attention back inwards. There's way less influence. It's a much more secure place to go from. Rather than putting our sense of security in this wobbling platform of everything that's changing. We can go to something that's more constant. It's we need we need stability for mobility. So if we want to do something with some strength and some passion and yes, and you've got to kind of go from somewhere we're secure, change your life radically. Also, you don't necessarily need to change radically, it can be, like Jordan Peterson says, incremental steps, like I was saying, just baby steps. But also to know that it is a scientific fact that we are changing all of the time, neuroplasticity. Our brains we have the ability to rewire, and we're always hardwiring habits, thought habits, and whatever we're doing into a more structured and compacted, rigid way. So it's either we consciously choose in which direction we want to change, or we're unconsciously kind of just following down the same path. And some of those tools aren't going to work that we have developed. Some of those habits aren't healthy for ourselves, for those around us, for the planet. Some of those thought patterns aren't healthy. Either we keep encouraging those things as well, unconsciously, and we just create further trauma for ourselves, or we can begin some self-inquiry, observe where our insecurities are, where our triggers are, what things could do with where the juicy spots are, of oh, that feels really uncomfortable, that feels really weird. Those are the juicy spots that we dive into, that's where we can learn a lot about ourselves and how to grow and develop and transmute that locked or blocked energy or resistance to something, trauma which may be written in our genes from some time ago, epigenetics, how our genes change over a lifetime. We were talking about it, I think, last time. I think there's a lot of issues that are written into our bodies, into our conditioning, into our minds, that we can develop and change for a more positive way. if we want to, if we want to like take conscious control of what we're doing. And like Einstein said, it was like the definition of insanity is putting the same thing in and expecting to get a different result. It's like, if you want to see any change in your life for the better, you've got to change what you're putting in, the thoughts, the beliefs, your actions every day, like on a mind level. So it begins in self-inquiry and observation, and it's all, it's a whole, there's a lot, to change, to grow and evolve, I think is like kind of the point of life as well. If we resist it, we create a lot of tension and rigidity for ourselves, and stress when we try and resist the flow of life, to hold on.
And do you think that that our educational system has a kind of responsibility to show us all different options, or that school is only important for the society and for creating jobs, because that's the way it is right now?
Sorry, that ginger is really strong.
Right.
There we go. Yeah, definitely it does have a responsibility, and I think they kind of can't really keep up with how fast things are changing right now. Everything in society and day-to-day life has changed in the last 50 years. So why would we have exactly the same schooling system we did 50 years ago? AI technology is going to be doing all of the straightforward thinking jobs, linear thinking jobs, like computers can do it. They can do really complex, complicated calculations more than any man can do. So it's more like creativity and lateral thinking that we need to train people in, ideas, and we're certainly at the point now where I feel like we don't need to race or run or stress ourselves. That's kind of part of the problem, is trying to rush, and then in that process damaging things on the way. To do
exactly.
things obviously in a smarter, more sustainable, to share. Imagine if we had everyone on the planet in a position to be able to create technology and share technology that would benefit everybody on the planet, and do it in a smart way. Yeah, of course it's
and learning with peers instead of one teacher, and just explore the subject with your fellow students. I think that's a more sustainable way of learning, instead of just writing down what the people at the front is saying.
Yeah, develop some curiosity, some passion.
Yeah, indeed. Let people explore instead of just nod and swallow it.
People want to feel some purpose for life, and they want to feel like part of something bigger than themselves. You don't need to force somebody to go and work every single day of their life. I think you'll get some people who won't want to work, but a lot of people do want to. We're just passing time at the end of the day, so people do want to do something constructive and share and have a laugh, socialize, create, work.
Yeah,
especially at the point that we're getting to, we don't need to force people into boxes.
Exactly, but the older generation, because they live their whole life in those boxes, it's, I think, difficult for them to break out of those boxes, while the youth is still very open for other interpretations. So maybe instead of politicians who are demanding all sort of shit, listen to the youth and just chill a bit,
Chill a bit is a very important point, man. What's the rush? Where are we going to?
Yeah, indeed.
What is the North Star, the orientation of our society and our global community? Why are we still individualized, pretending like it's Belgium against England against this person, whereas it's not really national now. It's like elite individuals and ultra rich. It's So there's so many like games and tricks and media going on. But like I think enough people talk about it, have this conversation. Like I really enjoy Russell Brand on Instagram because he's
Oh
always
yeah,
talking
yeah, I
about
know.
these kind of taboo subjects that we can't, you know, yeah, the taboo subjects that people don't really let you talk about, that are never really talked about on media. But I think open communication, transparent,
Hmm.
you know,
Exactly,
is
exactly.
such a big part of it for sure.